Okay, I'm gonna tell a story about the police here in Powell, Wyoming. All right. Well, the police here, all right, kind of flaky. All right. One time, when my daughter was here, living here, she had this guy living with her that I didn't like because um, I knew people that knew him, and he had gotten like young girls pregnant that were like 15 years old, and like so they're underage, all right, and gotten them pregnant, and then and there was two of these girls, all right, and these girls had put restraining orders on him because he had been so violent that they put a restraining order on where not only that he couldn't see the girls that he got pregnant, but he couldn't see the kids. He couldn't even see his own kids. He had been so violent. So and then I had bought my daughter this blazer. All right, I also got her a place to stay, and I was letting her use my truck at the time, and I told her she couldn't use the blazer until she got insurance on it. All right. Well, one night she has this guy that's living with her sneak over in the middle of the night and steal the blazer. So I wake up the next morning and I see the blazer's gone, and I'm mad. So I go down to the police station, and I had wrote a letter, a page talking about this guy, about his violence and getting underage girls pregnant and having kids with them, and that he was so violent. He had a restraining order where he couldn't see the women or the kids, and I didn't like him living there, and I'd like if there was a way for them to get him out, and I also reported him stealing the blazer. All right. Well, the police end up telling me that they can't do anything because I tell them, they asked who the blazer's name, you know what's the who's the ownership of the blazer, and I tell her, well, it's under my name and my daughter's name. So they say, well, since it's under your daughter's name too, we can't really get him for stealing. So as I'm leaving the police station here in Powell, all of a sudden I see all these police officers. I ain't even left the police station. I'm starting to walk out the door, and as I'm walking out the door, I see all these police officers running to their cars, and and I get into my car, and they're just boom 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 passing by me, and as I'm driving back to my house, I got these sheriff cars just speeding past me, and they're just all over the place, and as I start to drive, to my house, I have to go by where my daughter lives. So at one point, I see all these police officers. They're coming up every road, every single road, and they end up surrounding the place where my daughter lives. All right, and she's like in an apartment, like just a couple of blocks from here. Well, she don't live there anymore, but she did then. Well, I see the police surround the place, and and then a couple of police officers start running up the stairs, and they got their guns out to their side, and they're running up the stairs, and then just a couple of minutes later, I see them, because I stopped and parked to see what was going on. I see them all. I see the police coming back down the stairs with my daughter, and she's just going crazy talking, and the police are listening to her, and I don't know what she's saying because I'm parked way down. I'm parked down the road, just pulled over watching this, and so I decided I don't want to get involved, and I just go around the block, and I go back to my house, and when I come in the door, my wife's watching TV in the living room. So I sit down with her and get the control, and I start just seeing what else is on, and then all of a sudden there's this knock on the door, bam, 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 and I go and I look out. I have this little window thing, and I look out and I see the guy that I was talking to at the police station, and he's he's off to the side, and he's got his hand on his gun, and he's just peeking around the corner. And I start to open the door, but I got the remote control in my hand, and for some reason, I just tossed it onto the couch, and then I open the door, and he yells, "You don't have any guns, do you?" And I'm like, "I don't even own a gun." And then he starts like asking me all these questions and stuff, and you know, and then he starts to calm down, and then at one point he turns and he hits a little button on this little thing that he has on the side, and he speaks into it, and he tells him, "Stand down, stand down." All right, and I'm like, "What the hell's going on here?" So then he comes in the house, and he starts telling me that the young man that I went down and was talking about him being violent and getting young girls pregnant, underage girls pregnant, that he had, you know, and that he had stolen my car. Well, that young man had called his father, who lived in Byron, and told him that I was going to report him for stealing his car. Because I had called and told my daughter before I went there that I was going to report him for stealing the Blazer, all right? And so he called his father and told him that I was down there reporting him for stealing the car. And so his father, this young man's father who lives in Byron, ends up calling the police station. Now I'm there at the police station while he's calling and telling them this, all right? And he's telling the police there that I'm at my daughter's house with a gun, and I've got them all cornered, I guess, in her apartment, and I'm threatening to kill them. All right, my daughter, her kids, and the young man, which is a complete, you know, and so when he tells me this, I tell him I want to press charges on that young man's father for making a false report, and that he could have got me killed, because I started opening the door with that remote control. They could have thought it was a gun, and they could have shot me. I know they had a freaking sight on me. All right, now, now after I tell him I want to press charges and stuff, he just ignores me. They never do press charges on him. They never give me paperwork to press charges at nothing. That stuff all that craziness was never even put in the newspaper because the police force made complete fools out of themselves. Here I am in the police station while someone's calling and saying, I got my daughter and grandkids at gunpoint, and a man in my daughter's apartment threatening to kill them. All right, they look like total fools. That's why they didn't report it, because they would have made them look like idiots. And they didn't let me press charges on that old guy over in Byron for calling and almost getting my ass killed. That's the police force here. All right, and then also I had my son one time get a ticket downtown. All right, he got a ticket. All right, next thing I know, a week later or so, the guy who gives him the ticket keeps calling and saying he wants me to come down to the police station and sign a piece of paper, sign something. He doesn't tell me what it is or anything, and I just ignore him, but he keeps calling, so I tell him, you just come to my house. So he drives over to my house and gets out of his car, and he's the sheriff, and he just walks up to me, puts a piece of paper up on the wall, tries to hand me a pen, and tells me, I need you to sign right here. He doesn't tell me what I'm signing or what it is, or he doesn't even tell me his name, nothing. But I can get the reports on that, all right? Because my wife called down to the police station to ask what it was, that he wanted me to sign. And they didn't know what it was. You know, they were up that freaking sheriff was up to no good. All right, and I just told him when he freaking put that paper up there and tries to hand me the pen and tells me just to sign right here without explaining nothing to me what I'm signing, you know, or even giving me his name or anything. But I can get his name because he's the one that gave my son the ticket, so I can find your ass, dude. So I told him I ain't signing it, and he kind of got upset for a minute. And I just told him again, I ain't signing nothing. You need to just leave and leave me alone. You know, so he thinks about it for a minute, and then he just grabs the paper and he leaves. You know, that that sheriff was up to no good. All right. And then I got story. And then one time I went down to the police. A friend of mine comes over to my house, and he's got texts from his ex-girlfriend that her new boyfriend is beating her up, and she's got bruises all over her, and that she wants to drive her car off a cliff, that she feels so bad, and you know, she wants to kill herself. She don't know what to do, and so I tell him, look, man, you need to go to the police station. He's like, man, I don't want to get involved with my ex-girlfriend. And all that. I said, look, I'll go with you, because he could end up killing her, you know, or she might kill herself, you know. And you got all the evidence right there on your text. She wrote it to you, you know. So we go down to the police station here in Powell, and we try to report that there's domestic violence going on, and they need to go over there, all right? Because, you know, and he tries to show them the text of what's happening, but he tells them he wants to stay anonymous. And that lady behind the freaking glass door, she freaking starts telling him, well, why don't you give us your driver's license and we'll make that decision. And I get up and I just turn to the lady and I'm like, who the hell are you? I said, it don't work like that. And then she's like, well, it's, you know, from the text it shows that she lives in Cody, you know, and they're like, well, that's out of our jurisdiction and all this shit. And I'm like, what the hell? You guys need to call the Cody police station and stuff and tell them what's going on. And they won't do it. They tell us to do it. That's the police station. Here I am with evidence that a woman's being beat the hell out of, and she's feeling so down that she wants to commit suicide, drive her car off a cliff into the river and kill herself. And they won't do shit. That's our police station here in Powell. All right. So we end up driving to Cody, and they don't do shit either. You know, but the next time, it ends up happening again. She texts him again a couple of weeks later and telling him that he's beat her again, and she's got bruises and knots all over and shit, and that she's feeling suicidal. So, you know, I tell him I ain't going to the police station, but you need to go. So he goes down to the police station, and he even says when he goes down there that the lady behind the window, she starts apologizing to him for the way they acted and what they did the first time he came in and stuff. And they end up calling the Cody police, and the Cody police end up going over there, and they knock on the door, and come to find out, I don't know if it's true or not. All I know is the police tell her everything in front of the guy, all right, which he probably was beating her, all right, but I don't think it was as bad as she said it was. But anyway, the guy gets so crazy after that, he ends up, I guess, he ends up wrecking his car and wrecking it into other vehicles that are parked on the side of the road, like it flips, and he's drunk and he gets arrested. That's our police station here in Powell. And I got another one too, but I'll tell that next time.